In this video I'm going to be tying the Russian River Shad Fly. In the vise I have a Mustad 34007 in a size 4. I'm going to be tying this fly with some Danville's flat wax nylon in red. You'll go ahead and lay down a base of thread, and I'm going to start 2 eye lengths behind the eye because at the end of this pattern I'm going to be tying on a chenille head, so I want to leave enough room to do that. I'm going to take my thread down to the barb and snip away our excess. And then go ahead and bring the thread back up to our tie-in point. Alright, for our wing, I'm going to be tying in some red hackle fibers. And I like to use something relatively webby. So I'm just going to strip off a section of barbs from the bottom of the hackle. Something about that thick. And strip those away. I'm going to measure out my tail. I want my tail to be basically about as long as the hook gap is wide. And I'm going to tie those in at my tie-in point and then advance my thread down the hook. That way I have a nice consistent width body. Looks pretty good. And then I'll just snip away my excess hackle. For the body, I'm going to be using some oval tinsel. This is a large tinsel. I think that's fine to use on a size 4. And before I tie that in, I'm actually going to bring my thread back up and tie in at our tie-in point again, just to make sure that we have a nice even body. Bring our thread back down to the butt and then back up to our tie-in point. And I'm actually going to come all the way forward and just give a couple of half hitches here so I can use the rotary feature on my vise. Then I'm just going to go ahead and wrap the oval tinsel. Trying to get touching turns. Something about like that. Go ahead and unwind my thread because it got wound here while I was trying to use the rotary feature. Go ahead and move it back up and capture our tinsel. Then we can just snip away the excess. For the hackle, I'm going to be using a white saddle hackle, like something relatively webby here as well. Something about like that. But I am going to tie it in sparse, so I'm going to prepare the hackle and just pull off the barbs from the bottom side of the hackle. Alright, I've gone ahead and prepared my hackle, so I pulled all the barbs off the bottom side, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie it in by the tip. And then advance our thread forward. And snip away the tip of the hackle. And then I'm just going to go ahead and wrap my hackle probably 2 or 3 times. I like it sparse, but not too sparse. Maybe one more wrap. And go ahead and capture. And snip away our excess. And then I'm just going to stroke all the barbs back and give a couple wraps right in front of the hackle, and then I'll help sort of lay down the barbs. About like that. And I'm going to tie in some chenille for a head, and this is just some red ultra chenille, very fine diameter. Just going to tie a section in right in front of the hackle, cinch that down, and we're going to give a couple good wraps. And then capture the chenille with our thread and snip away the excess. Just give a few more wraps with the thread here just to build up a small thread head, and then whip finish. Snip away our thread. And that is the Russian River Shad Fly. This fly is part of the Pfieffer collection.